how did they find Lisa's Wines? How did they find you?
On Instagram, on Facebook, those are the platforms that I am keeping up to date. I'm restructuring my website as everyone else is doing in the Corona time. And my website will be live within the next month. I'll have my new website out.
Awesome. We'll put the links, all the links down in the description. Lisa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time speaking to us. And I'm sure our listeners will find this interesting.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank you.
yeah, I know you're busy, so thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, winelands businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Morning, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to Vincent and Fiona Beere from Saxonburg. Hi, Vincent. Hi, Fiona. Welcome to About the Winelands.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Good morning, Will. Yeah, pleasure to be on, and good morning to all the listeners.
Yes, I mean, I think the listeners are going to really enjoy the show, and you guys have such an interesting story. So tell me, can you guys give us a bit of background of how you became involved in the wine industry?
Absolutely. So I'll start off. I think it was never really for me in the beginning in the plan to go into the wine industry. And my father very much had the philosophy, you have to do what you enjoy and what you love. So he never pushed any of us into going into the wine industry. And I had been working on another project in South Africa, and I was living on Saxonburg and loved it so much being back on the farm because I had been studying abroad, that I asked if I could join the Saxonburg team. And I thought in the beginning I'd just do a 6-month stint. And I joined as I got the position of the Cape Town sales representative position. And 6 months went by in a flash. And I noticed that that's a drop on a hot stone, and that you can't really achieve that much in 6 months. And I just have a huge passion and love for Saxonburg. So I decided to, of course, stay on, and I stayed on in that position, and then grew from that position and took over the Johannesburg market and did the sales there. And then I did the national sales and just grew from that position. And you know, before I knew it, 10 years went by in a flash, and I'm still with Saxonburg and now running the estate with my brother. So that's how I got into the wine industry and starting working for Saxonburg, which I'd been in a whole different industry beforehand.
Oh, interesting. And you, Vincent?
So yeah, well, on my side, it was to some extent obviously similar. I mean, we had the great fortune of growing up on this farm, so obviously there was always a real connection and to the place, and I think when you're that close to any industry, you end up loving or loathing it. And you know, both Fiona and myself, it was the case of falling deeply in love with it. And so after university, also I had actually chosen a different path. I ended up in finance, and then within a few years realized that there was a real sort of strong pull to go back to South Africa. So at that time I was based in London, and get involved as well. And you know, for us it was very much about learning about all the facets of the business, to really get a deep understanding, because it is a fairly competitive certainly industry, and it's also one that's been undergoing tremendous change over the last 10-20 years, if you will, with the inclusion of technology and globalization as well. And that all of a sudden the supply chains had changed a lot. And so my early sort of contribution was also in the sales side, but I was going much more on the international markets. In those days, 15 years ago, we started pushing quite heavily towards Asia. And so I was spending a lot of time in Southeast Asia and also East Asia, and building up those markets with the team we had there. And then about 6 years ago, I found my way back to Cape Town, and I moved onto the farm and started getting involved on the managerial side. And to fast forward to today, obviously Fiona and I run the farm together.
Amazing. So your family, can you tell us a little bit of how your family got involved in Saxonburg, and maybe also a little bit of history of the farm itself is always, you know, that's always interesting to our listeners.
So the farm itself dates back to 1963. So it is actually one of the oldest estates in South Africa. And the name also Saxonburg exists already since 1707, because the first owner was von Sachs, and then it went on to the De Berg brothers, and they kind of combined their names, and that's why it's called Saxenburg. And also the first wines were planted there in 1707 already. And it was always used for wine or mining. Actually, Saxenburg has a lot of, had a lot of silver and granite, of course, and zinc. And so it always went between the two over its history and its course. Then my family purchased the estate in 1989. My father always had our family has been in the wine for 5 generations already. And my father traveled extensively through South Africa with his brother, who actually was studying at UCT back in the days. And he had a huge passion and love for South Africa and the land. And he just saw an opportunity because, you know, South Africa was closed off, and he's always wanted to have a wine estate, and he saw an opportunity in South Africa at the time for him like no other country, where the terroir was exceptional, but it wasn't opened up internationally yet, and he knew he could be part of a change. And so he traveled there in 1988, and he looked at a few wine estates, and he didn't actually find any. And then on his way to the airport, he stopped on Saxenburg, and he said when he entered it, it was like entering home, and he immediately knew that was the farm. And once the terroir analysis was done, it was a perfect match. And so my parents purchased the wine estate in 1989, and then we're actually one of 5 children. So it's Vincent, and then I have an older brother and 2 younger sisters. And my parents moved us over all in 1991 and committed 100% to Saxenburg. And I think the 90s was very much focused onto replanting, because actually when Saxenburg was taken over, it was in a very derelict estate, and it was, we would say, a lump of coal, which we then tried to turn into a lump of gold. And it was actually planted mostly with Chenin, Riesling, and Cinsault at the time. And I would say 90% of that was pulled out and replanted, and the estate was. The estate itself is 200 hectares, and nearly 100 hectares were planted. And they didn't follow trends at the time at all, but they went with what their terroir has to offer. And they set their own trends in the time, especially in the 90s. I would say they were trendsetters, that they then planted Shiraz, which was very uncommon in the early 90s. But, you know, Saxenburg is the ideal location for Shiraz. The whole top of Saxenburg is a decomposed granite field. And so that actually became our main varietal. And then our first winemaker back in the day, in the 90s, was Van Rensburg. And then they got Nico van der Merwe on board. And then he was out throughout the whole 90s and the beginning of the 2000s. And, you know, then in 93, Saxenburg won, I think, 5 double golds in the Veritas and a General Smuck Award. So it catapulted Saxenburg, I would say, on the map. And so that was in the 90s. It was all about, you know, making a reputation and replanting and building the brand Saxenburg. And in the 2000s, we very much concentrated when the market was open on growing internationally. So I would say that's a very short history of Saxenburg.
That's amazing. I want to ask you, you are a brother and sister team, and I said, the question I wanted to ask is, how do you share management responsibility? But I think that's my nice way of asking you guys, how don't you kill each other?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's, look, there's certainly the wonderful thing about the family businesses is that, you know, the saying always goes is, you know, you get upset at a friend, it's very hard to get to forgive them. You can be upset with family. We've been having adult fights for 30 plus years, you know, and we're still here to tell the tale. So, you know, family just has the sort of bond that obviously is very advantageous, but comes with its sets of challenges. And I think we trust each other very much. I think we complement each other also in the sense that we share, we share all of the decision making, and certainly the essential one. And it's good to have each other as a sounding board in that sort of sense. But at the same time, in terms of roles, they're really sort of clear cut and defined roles that everyone operates within. And, you know, Fiona being the first to actually go back to the farm has cut herself a very strong role in the sales side of things and the marketing and the branding of the estate. and has really built that up for herself. Whereas myself, I spent most of my time on the farm, and I got sort of involved in all aspects from the land, so viticulture, into the winemaking as well. As much as I'm not at all a winemaker, we have an excellent winemaker on the farm, but to get more involved in that sort of process, and then the all-encompassing management part of it. In terms of vision and strategy, we take the decisions together and then execute, obviously, in those departments respectively.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, you touched a little
I
bit
do
on.
want to say we have the advantage that we actually get along really well. so it's actually nice to work together with somebody that you get along with so well and that you're actually friends with.
Also, I think the issue you mentioned about trust, I think that trust that you have within a family is, that's something that you can't really find anywhere else. So that's great. You touched a little bit on the Shiraz, and this is what Saxonburg is famous for. I think it's Graham Beck that said you guys make the best Shiraz in the country, or maybe I think you could have even said in the world. So tell us a little bit about the other wines you are making, and also your winemaking philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important. Look, the wine industry is one in which you always take a very long-term view, and you need incredible patience for this, because you're dealing with nature, and so by default you're never too sure what hand you're going to be dealt for any specific harvest or during a growing season. But you can certainly work very well around the sort of the aspects that you can control of that, and most of those take place in the vineyard. So I think our first philosophy in winemaking is that 80% of any good wine is made in the vineyard, and with that we take a very sort of rigorous approach to the vineyard and the way that we respect that terroir. We're lucky now that in some ways we have 30 plus years of experience of knowing the land, understanding the specific sites, knowing how certain clones react in specific sites, and we've managed to play with that and adapt to it and enhance it. So that would definitely be the first step of how we look at the philosophy itself. And then obviously it's being close to the market. When I say long term, we have a vision, or our parents rather had a vision in the late 80s, early 90s, that Syrah was particularly well suited for that. And so, today it represents 60+% of our total production, and we are building on that every year as we learn, obviously, as well. And so it's never been about chasing trends. It's being really sort of firm in the belief that what we're doing is the right thing, that we can improve on that all the time. But that's the kind of discipline and long-term thinking that it takes, and that we enjoy doing, and then some years, the varietal will be a bit more unpopular in some countries, and other years it will be there. But, we certainly would like to think that is something that we can do very well. In terms of the other varietals, we've got incredible diversity on the farm itself. So the farm is about 200 hectares, of which 70 are planted to vines. And we're adding to that every sort of 2 to 3 years. The varietal breakdown is very much in terms of what is suited there. So we have Saxonburg sits, for those that don't know it, Saxonburg sits on one of those old sort of hills outside of Stellenbosch, and it gives us a 360 degree sort of geographic aspect, if you will. Some of it is facing the Stellenbosch winelands, and some of it is facing Table Mountain and the cooler False Bay slopes. So according to that, we plant, and obviously the soils we have as well. And there's again a great diversity of soils, from sort of heavy clay to decomposed granite to heavier sort of gravel soils and Table Mountain sandstone. But basically what we've done is we've allocated the varietals. On the red side, we've got Syrah, obviously Shiraz, which leads the pack. We've got Cabernet Sauvignon, which for us is very representative of Stellenbosch. We've got some Pinotage as well, which to us is kind of the celebration of, a typical South African varietal. And then for our entry-level blend, we've also got some Malbec and some Cabernet Franc. And then we've got a very small portion of Pinot Noir on Champagne Clone, which we use for our Méthode Cap Classique. And on the white side, I mentioned earlier the exposure to False Bay. We've got higher elevation, so 200 plus meter above sea level. We plant Sauvignon Blanc, and that makes up the biggest portion of the white wine. And we've also got some Chardonnay, some Chenin Blanc, and also some Semillon, which we have in smaller quantities.
To add into that philosophy, I think what we were saying is that from our winemaking philosophy, but also for our daily philosophy with Saxenberg, is always to work with respect, and respect that comes to all aspects, you know, respect to our work, to the terroir, to the wine, to the people around us, to our team, and then passion that we need, you know, for the wine itself. Passion comes with everything for us, and then of course always relevance, and that's to stay relevant with our product, relevant in our message, etc. And for us, also the number one thing that we work is in our philosophy for wine is that terroir is everything, and we should that we need to work with our terroir and respect that. So I think those are the three words that are the most important for us in our philosophy.
Oh, that's awesome. So when you arrive at Saxenberg, it feels like you're going on safari. So can you share a bit more about the wildlife on the estate?
Yes, absolutely. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory to why that is there. So back in the day, that was actually also planted with vine, but that's 40 hectares when you go into the bottom of Saxenberg, and it's actually quite a sandy soil. So as you know, we're out for only quality wines, and we could not produce a quality wine on that kind of terroir. So we decided that we would do a safari park there, and also just because we have a huge love for animals. And I think also, you know, a lot of people come to the Cape dressed in their safari gear, and they're wondering where all the wild animals are. And turns out they're not running around here freely. So for us, it's also a wonderful opportunity to have some of that, those wild animals. And we have mainly, of course, zebra, which are reproducing happily on the farm, let's put it like that. And then we have springboks and wildebeest and a few others that are roaming around there. And we just said, you know, let's have something African, let's have something we all love and can nurture there, and use that terroir for the wildlife. So that's why we have that feeling when you come in and all those animals there.
Oh, that's very, very nice. So tell me, what else can visitors experience when they come to Saxenberg?
So we started commercializing the farm. Obviously, the concept of the typical, or many of the South African farms, I should rather say, is very much about having a tourist attractive sort of activities and on the farm, and which are almost their own little profit centers. So we have a tasting room on the farm that you can visit 7 days a week, and which we completely refurbished actually just over 2 years ago. And then on the farm also we have a number of guest cottages, which we also renovated at the same time around the end of 2017, which are two doubles with all ensuite sort of bathrooms, and then there's a bigger cottage which has 3 ensuite bedroom bathroom also available. They're completely self-catering, so they all come equipped with kitchens, and the smaller ones with more of a kitchenette. And then you have access obviously to the outdoors. You're within sort of a couple of 100 meters from the game park itself. You can organize sundowner drinks out on our in the lovely sort of on a platform within that little game park, and enjoy the wines there. You can there's access to a pool, and obviously there's also a braai facility. So that's another aspect of it. And then on the farm itself, we don't at this point, sometimes when we have bigger groups, we have an outdoor Lapa area where we'll organize, especially more for the sort of overseas visitors, we'll organize typical sort of snook braais or meat braais as well, and then take them through our wines in that sort of way. Obviously, these are things that have been badly affected now by the lockdown, and obviously the continuing sort of regulations. But typically these are very active participants of the farm.
Oh, amazing. You mentioned the coronavirus and the lockdown, and it's basically forced all of us to rethink our business models. So Fiona mentioned that you guys have spent the time working. Do you have any changes or new ideas in mind?
So as I said, I think we took this lockdown as a real time to sit down and put our minds together and really use this time effectively. I think we've done the opposite of saying let's lock ourselves down as well. We've literally said, what can we do with this time? And I think the main thing we've been focusing on is building a relationship with our end customers. So we always had you have a strong relationship with your partners abroad, with the restaurants, with your liquor stores, and that we've been very much concentrating on. But we wanted to, know our end customer, become a friend to our end customer, and introduce them to our team, introduce them to the brand more, introduce them to what's happening behind the scenes, and really take them along on our journey. So we've been very heavily focusing on our social media. We've been putting informative videos out there. We started a YouTube channel. We've been doing weekly webinars. I don't know if you saw where we've invited incredible speakers to join us on the weekly webinars, and it's not only about Saxenberg at all. We've been talking about corks and where corks come from, what do they mean, or the same with barrels, or what do glasses make for a difference. So we've tried to give the customer, an educational experience and take them along on our journey, but also giving them an opportunity to create a dialogue with us. And I think we've never been as interactive with our customers, and it's extremely rewarding. It's so nice to hear from them. And we've been really working on, our slogan is Saxenberg Wines Creating Moments. And what we mean by that is we want, life is all about the moments that are happening, and we really want to be part of those moments. Are they small or big moments? Are they celebratory moments or lonely moments? Doesn't matter. But most of those moments are around a glass of wine or around a nice meal with a glass of wine, and we want to be part of that journey, and that's what we've been focusing on. And so we've also taken that time to actually make a new website. So look out for that, because it will be launching very soon, and we've created a whole new website where all of this, we've just been talking about, will be integrated, and it will just make a much nicer organic experience for our customer.
I mean, I suppose the only things I can add to that, obviously, is, earlier I alluded to the fact that in the wine industry, everything is about long-term planning. I think obviously with, as Fiona said, with a crisis comes opportunity. It's been devastating in so many ways, but it also brings with it certain silver linings that you can then either act on or not. And for us, that was very much building out our sort of direct to consumer offering, is creating content, not just creating content, but also giving, becoming more personal in the way that we interact, giving a sort of peek behind the scenes, presenting the team, and then also just opening up to customers and saying, ask us all the questions that you've been wanting to ask them that never maybe had the platform to ask, and we'll share them with you and any other listener that is willing to listen. And I think you just, in terms of your planning, what changes is that because there's so much uncertainty, we sort of at the moment we work with what we call our sort of 3 months vision strategies, and that's basically, how do we operate within these 3 months, and what sort of view do we take? But the focus is very much direct to consumer. It's technology is going to play a tremendous role. We are now looking at a concept that is also introducing a virtual tasting room. Not so much, obviously, on the one hand, because people will be for some time more reluctant to set foot into certain establishments, but also because we are speaking to a wider audience now, that may be far away, that cannot get in the car and just drive 20, 30, 40 minutes and be at the farm, and to also bring them in and make them part of the experience. So it certainly changed in that sort of way. Also, I think a spirit of collaboration has come from this. We are working currently, we're very proud of our sort of area, obviously Stellenbosch, but to be more precise, the Polka Dry Hills. We've been working during lockdown on an initiative as well, which I can't divulge just yet, but which will be coming out in the next months or two, with a few of the farms that are in the area. And we think that, you know, this is a time to be collaborative. This is a time to pool resources and kind of find a common denominator and spread the same message, trying to reach a wider audience, and with our products and our wines. So that's definitely another thing that we've been working on. I think a way in which the business model has changed, but very much in a favorable way.
Well, that's, you know, it's great that you've guys been proactive, and it seems that you're going to continue on this road going forward. I think people underestimate the amount of engagement you can create. And you're right. I think you mentioned, Fiona, that or it was actually you, Vincent, that said your customers have the first time that you really can communicate with them on a almost a bigger scale. So that's amazing that you guys have embraced this, and I think this is really the way of the future. What is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Well, I mean, one of the most wonderful things, and I think it's probably 99% of the reason why, you know, anyone that's involved in wine or is producing wine or selling wine is involved is because of the product itself. You know, the sort of journey from vine to bottle. The people you meet in the industry are exceptional, whether locally or abroad. Always with this sort of zest of life and adventure and very close to nature and outdoors, and that is the way that we're sort of shaped as well. So I think that's a tremendous appeal. But the biggest lesson is definitely to have patience, in my mind. Everything takes a long time. We plant new vines, we play with new plant material, new clones, new sites. You know, you plant them today and you won't see the fruit of that labor for many, many years to come. Even bar the commercial aspect of it, you know, these things take a lot of patience, and then very often it's the temptation of not sidetracking. It's the temptation of not, you know, taking up other projects or following trends. So I think patience and discipline are definitely a big sort of part of the learning process in this journey.
For us, it's also, you know, not, as we're saying, what already my parents started, is not following trends, believing in what we're doing, setting our own trends. And then also, you know, there's so much amazing wine out there, especially in South Africa. There's just amazing winemakers. And so just get inspired by those people and surround yourself with people that inspire you. You know, the thing is with the wine industry, it's a constant learning. And that's what we thoroughly enjoy about it. And that's, you know, you constantly adding on. And I definitely believe that's something I've taken from that.
Oh, excellent. I'd love to hear from you guys and get your favorite wine quotes from each of you.
One should wake up with a smile in the morning and end the day with a glass of wine. And I like it because for me, ending the day with a glass of wine or two is like ending the day with a smile. So you started with a smile and you ended with one.
I love it.
I mean, there's so many great and so many cheesy quotes, I think, in wine, but one that really resonated with me is the one that says wine is bottled poetry. And the reason it was, especially of more recently, is I've been tasting endless amounts of wine during lockdown as well with our cellar master Dirk van Sale, as we were sort of putting together new blends and, you know, obviously tasting our way through the 2020 vintage and, you know, getting ready for the 2019. And it's very interesting. The more people you bring together, it's always great to surround yourself with experienced and good palates. And, you know, it's interesting that everyone always interprets a wine in a different way. And I guess, you know, a little bit like poetry. It reminded me of English literature. You know, you asked to interpret one of Shakespeare's poems, and it's like, okay, everyone has a kind of draws a different inspirational meaning from it. And the same way in wine, I think that's the beauty of it, is you know, it's you interpret it in your own way, and you associate through it a memory or a time, or you mark an event. And so I love that. I think it's so true for wine. And I think the more time you spend tasting wine, the more that becomes the truth.
Excellent. Guys, that was awesome. If our listeners want to get hold of you, how do they actually, you know, where do they find you?
So we've, as Fiona said, we've been very active on our sort of channels. Our Instagram, you know, you're obviously always happy, and please, you know, have a look at what we're doing there. So the handle is Saxonburg Wines. And then we're on Facebook as well, Saxonburg Wine Estate. You can find us on YouTube, Saxonburg Wine Estate. We've got our own dedicated channel there to which we upload all of the content, all the videos, webinars, interviews that we've been conducting over the last months now. And then otherwise, obviously, if you want to reach us in a more sort of direct way, you can just email us at info@saxonburg.co.za, and we'd be obviously delighted to hear from anyone.
Guys, it was really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for taking the time speaking to us, and I think our listeners will really love this. And yes, thank you very much for informative talk.
Thank you so much, Will. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, it was a great pleasure, and I hope we could share some good information with everyone.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.
Patrick James Robertson from the Fishwells Club Boutique Winery. Just had a fantastic swim here at Camps Bay Tidal Pool. You can see behind me here the 12 Apostles. It's absolutely stunning. Really beautiful scenery here in Cape Town. The water's nice and chilly on the Atlantic side. It's perfect for swimming and really waking all parts of you up. But my message today, we have another lockdown on sale of alcohol, and really the South African businesses are really suffering under these really draconian measures that our government is taking, and we believe incorrectly, and there's a lot of protests going on to save South African businesses and all the people it employs, because there's just no support from the government at all, and we have to fend for ourselves. And my message out there to business owners and entrepreneurs is that we just got to work together and look out for each other and pull together. This is when it really counts, and this is what we do best, is pull together and support each other, and buy from the family-owned businesses and buy from the smaller businesses, the businesses that have families putting food on the table, uniforms on their children, and basically the struggle's real for so many business owners and for people in these circumstances. So my message is also to just persevere. It's really tough, but this is what makes you. Makes you or breaks you, and you've got what it takes to pull through, and you've got everything you need, even though it doesn't seem it. We've just got to have faith and dig deep and pull through, and we will pull through, and we will succeed. We will get through it. We'll survive, one way or the other. So just have faith, love each other, support each other, and let's get through this together. Let's win together.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, winelands businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm speaking to Zunia Boucher-Myers from Avontuur Restaurant in the beautiful town of just outside the beautiful town of Stellenbosch. Hi Zunia, welcome to About the Winelands.
Hi, Will. Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, you have such a lovely place there, and you must be glad that you can finally maybe start reopening again.
We are very relieved. We cannot wait. And we are actually opening on Wednesday of next week. So very excited for that. It's been a lovely break, but it's time to get back to work.
I can believe you. So Zunia, I'm interested. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in the food restaurant business.
Okay, well, I'm trained as a fine artist, and I've always had three things that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to be a writer, an artist, and a chef. And I'm lucky that I have done all of those things in the work that I do, because I write, I do our own marketing, and I take the photos of our food and the beautiful farm on which we have our restaurant. And my business partner, Melanie, is a trained midwife. So she comes with the A-type personality, and I love to say I come with the ADD-type personality, and together we make a really great team.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
it sounds like food and art always seems to go together somehow, right? And I mean, I've been at your restaurant. Your food is a bit of art. I love it.
Oh, thank you. We believe that you eat with your eyes.
That is true.
So so food must look beautiful and it must taste as good as it looks.
So how did you guys become involved in the restaurant at Avontuur?
Well, I worked at Vale as the pastry chef, and Melanie, my business partner, was the executive chef there. And we were approached by the late Tony Tabor, who was the owner of the Avontuur estate many years ago. And he wanted to have a fine dining style restaurant. And he approached Mel, and she approached me, and together we went and had a look at it. And we just fell in love. What was there not to love? This beautiful wine estate, and it's also a stud farm, so all these beautiful mares with these beautiful white iceberg roses as you drive up the driveway. A visually very beautiful farm because it's on the foot of the Helderberg mountain. And so yeah, we've been very, very lucky to have a location where we have it. It's just magnificent. You know, you've been there, so you know.
Well, it's such a, I mean, you've got a right spot there on the R44. So, you know, it's the farm advert, the place advertises itself. You've got the perfect signboard because that road is quite busy. But
Yes.
Avontuur itself, I mean, since I can remember, there's been a stud farm there.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit of the history of the farm. Do you know it?
Yes, I don't know all the history because it's a very old farm. I think it's the original documents go back to about 1880, somewhere around there. But the Tabrers took the farm over in the early 1980s, and they were originally from Zimbabwe. And they saw the potential to have a wine estate as well as a stud farm because Tony just loved the two together, the combination of horses and wine. The blurb is fine horses and fine wines and fast horses. Sorry, I got that the wrong way around. And
fine horses and fast wine.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I love to say fabulous food. So all the alliterations happening there. But he just saw the potential of having a stud farm there. And today we have two of the most incredible stud horses in South Africa. We have VAR and we have Oratorio, and the two of them are sure, we have a lot of prizes and fantastic jockeys, and the two best studs in South Africa currently on the top 5 as far as I know. So
Wow.
in that way, the GM, who's also a lady, Pippa Mickelbra, is one of the most, I'll call her a horse whisperer, because she can look at the horses as she drives past and she can just see what's going on with them. She is I think books will be written about her one day because she is the most incredible person who has put South African horses on the map in many, many ways. I better not speak too much about the horses because I don't know. It's all my own emotions speaking here and my knowledge about
it's here. Go on. It's interesting. I love it.
She's truly an amazing horse person. I don't really know very much about the horses. It's not where my passion lies. But having been there for nearly 20 years, you see the horses grow and how they go on to win races, and how it's just an amazing, the what do you call it, the history and the lines, like these horses side these foals and these fillies, and this is what they've gone on to do. It's very, very interesting. And if you are a horsey person, what we do once a year is we allow you to come and meet the foals. We do what we call our mare and foal walk, and you can come and have a look at them. And Pippa or Philip Tabor or Michael Tabor, the two boys that now run the farm, might be one of your guides. So it just depends on which day you might get them. And it's fascinating to listen to what they have to say. So look out for that, because that's an amazing thing to be part of, because it's only once a year, and it's the amount of people we allow in is very small. So diarize that as soon as you see it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I actually haven't heard about that before. So did you guys start that restaurant from scratch?
We did.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, we did. And the restaurant initially was run by two ladies that did a South African style buffet. And then what they did was they would cook the food at home and then bring it in the morning. And what Mr. Tabor wanted was the actual sit down a la carte menu, a la carte restaurant. And so we started there with no kitchen, no restaurant as such, and we've built it up with one staff member in the kitchen, one waiter, to a group or a staff of roughly 21 in the summer. And we've been there for nearly 20 years now. So it works beautifully. It's a symbiotic relationship that we have with the estate. We've watched the two boys grow into the three boys. There's three of them grown into the men that they are today. And we have a really wonderful relationship with our landlords. We are very, very blessed, I have to say.
Well, it's
so
nice.
Mr. Tabor wanted, so just a little recap, he approached Melanie, my partner, as I said, my business partner, and he said, come and have a look, see what you think. And she just fell in love with it and said, what do you think? I said, I'm in. And the rest, as they say, is history. So we started with one waiter, one member of staff in the kitchen, and just the two of us.
Okay.
So,
Wow. So
and now we have,
do both of you cook, or are you more on?
oh yeah,
Okay, so you both
no,
design the menus and cook and everything together.
absolutely. We are a real 50-50 team. We do everything together. We design the menu. We often fight about the menu because our tastes are very different. And so Mel doesn't like tomatoes, for example. I love tomatoes. And so we often say no, yes, no, yes. And then we have to have other people taste the food and help us to decide what we'll put on the menu. But there's certain things that will never, ever come off our menu that are evergreen items. For example, our duck, we're known for our duck. We'll never ever take our duck off the menu. And our deep fried ice cream, I think that will be, we'll have riots if we ever had to take that off the menu.
So that's interesting, right? I've had a duck before, but I've never had a deep fried ice cream. So that's definitely a reason to go. But I've seen it, but I've never thought, just shows you.
It's absolutely delicious. It's ice cream that's wrapped in phyllo pastry and deep fried, and we serve it with the most delectable caramel sauce. And it's very, very, very good.
Sounds wonderful. So your food philosophies, how would you describe that?
I would say that for me, what is the most important is that the food looks and tastes brilliant, and that our food is as healthy as we can make it. So we don't use things like MSG or aromat or any funny flavorings. Our food is real food. We make it fresh. We make it daily. So we don't like to use anything that comes out of a packet. And we just believe, our food philosophy is as healthy as we can make it is what we're going to do. And I think it shows in our portions and in the flavor that you get, that you can taste. This is really a great meal. You can taste the flavors. And we also don't like to fiddle too much with our food. So we don't like to have too much garnishing and too much detracting. We like the food to be the hero.
Oh, that's amazing.
And also we really like to use our local producers and our local farmers, and we try to use organic and free range and pasture reared as much as we possibly can. I think that's the way the world's moving, and it's very, very much part of Melanie and my philosophy to try and implement and include as many of those kinds of foods as we possibly can.
Oh, that's very cool. Your customers, are they the demographic? Are they mostly tourists, locals? What do they look like?
No, we've never ever marketed our business to an overseas market because our business is so seasonal. So it doesn't help you market to all your beautiful swallows, and then they leave you in winter, and then you're left with no business. So our demographic has always been our local business, and the pudding has been our swallows, our overseas visitors. So a lot of them are retired and really love to dine and wine and bring families along and to just really enjoy a laid back, comfortable eating experience at a restaurant with a beautiful view. And I must say, we've had our staff for as long as we've been open, a lot of them. So our staff know our customers by name, and they just love that. They love coming in and they say, your regular or your usual or your bottle of Sauvignon Blanc or your bottle of Chardonnay. And our guests just love that. They love being greeted by name.
Well, that's now you're mentioning the bottles, and that's awesome that they can do that, right? So, wine is important for a good dining experience. So,
absolutely.
How do you actually choose your wines? Do you only use Avontuur wines? And, how do you, okay. Tell us a little bit about the wines that you serve with the food.
Well, the whole idea of opening a restaurant was to showcase our wines, and we have a brilliant winemaker who's just won 4 new golds at, I can't tell you right now because it's actually a secret.
Oh, okay.
But he's just won 4.
You can tell us, I won't tell anybody. Unfortunately, I'm recording it. It's going to be on the internet. So.
No, that's all right. I'm only kidding. It's all good. It's all good. He's just won prizes for our beautiful wines, and that was what
Amazing.
Tony wanted in the beginning, was to have a restaurant that could showcase his wines. So all our wines are our food items are paired with our wines from the estate. We only sell our estate wines, and we work very closely with the winemaker and with our marketing lady who's not with us anymore, Kobie van Oort, and who will be sorely missed, I must say. But with the wines, we like to pair the food with the wines, because that's the whole idea. You want this whole experience. Your senses must be just, you know, one beautiful experience after the next. And how much nicer can you get than a wine that marries well with your food?
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, that place, I've had a few of those wines as well. They're very, very good. So
Yeah.
something else you guys are doing is called the Avontuur. I actually didn't know you guys have this, the Avontuur Business Club ABC, which looks like a breakfast club.
It is.
Yeah, tell us more about this.
Oh, this is one of my favorite parts of our business, and that is running the network breakfasts. And what we do is we get the best speakers we can find in South Africa, and even we've had international speakers too, that come and speak to our members about all the different themes that go along with business. So it could be managing your time better, or your tax implications for small businesses, or you name the topic. We've had it in the last 15 years, because we've been running the Breakfast Club for probably 16 or 17 years now. And we've had people like Mike Hancock, the top speaker in Australia. We've had Alna Busak. We've had Margaret Hirsch. We've had some amazing people come through our doors, and what's lovely is that we don't charge a membership fee. We believe that the very people we want to benefit from our network breakfasts are the ones that quite often are self-employed, solo entrepreneurs, and membership fees are expensive. So all that they pay for is their breakfast, and we take care of the rest. And it's very popular.
So that's very interesting. Do you find that those people become long-term customers from the restaurant, and also from, for your wines?
Sure, well, that's a really good question, because the answer to that is yes. You know, because we host these breakfasts every month. You can imagine over the last 17 years how many breakfasts we've hosted,
yeah, that's what
and
I was
how many
thinking.
speakers we've had. They become friends, and they become long-term loyal customers of ours. You know, they come back in the summertime with families, or they host weddings or christenings or birthday parties, and that's how we've maintained our business. We've always believed in a reciprocal sort of ethos, really, you know, where what you give is what you get. Actually, our business name, our CC business name, is called the Open Hand. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what we believe in. Yeah.
So that's a very interesting business philosophy, because, and I think it's it's one of those hidden secrets that I always call it pushing the free line. If you give people more than they expect, or give something for free, and like you say, you're giving, you don't charge for this networking for breakfast. It's actually a very, very good marketing ploy. Or not a ploy, it's just good marketing, because you actually can show your customers that you care about them. And
what we do,
people appreciate
is
that.
we give them, absolutely, and we give them one of our breakfasts, what we actually serve as a breakfast. We don't pare it down or make it smaller, or network breakfast food is horrific at the best of times. I've had some terrible meals, and our philosophy is completely different. We give the best that we can make. So and then people know that this is what they're going to get, and it's so divine. And I think a lot of people actually come back for the breakfast, not for the networking.
So is there wine at this breakfast? I just want to make sure there's wine at this breakfast.
There's always champagne.
Okay.
There's always champagne. I think one of the questions that you asked me is like, what is a wine saying for me? And that is that champagne goes with everything.
That is true. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say it better. So do you guys do any other events?
Oh, we do. We do themed events sometimes in summertime. Like we've hosted a most wonderful and fun Mamma Mia night, which was a dress up. I think we are starved for fun. And so we try and do a lot of fun events. We do women's events where we get women in to empower other women, and it works with the same sort of idea as the network breakfast, but specifically for women. And themes are inspire, empower, joy, those kind of ideas where we get people from our communities to come and participate, you know, influencers, people that have a lot to say and to give on many levels. And then we have obviously goodie bags and beautiful makeup and lots of wine flowing. It's a lot of fun. And of course, we host events for everybody, you know, from christenings right through to memorial services. We are part of people's history, and we are part of those sort of memories that people have. And we are very lucky to be part of those stories.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me, I'm just wondering, you mentioned not only events, but also, actually, I've not completely forgot what I wanted to ask you. All right,
I'm glad it's not just me.
It'll come back to me. Things have changed such a lot this year with the coronavirus, and you know, everybody has been forced to change their business models. So have you guys, well, or at least rethink it, have you guys come up with any ideas or any new plans?
Well, we have to obviously rethink what we're doing because just from a practical perspective. And so when we open next week, we will be running with a smaller menu just to get what to expect. Are we going to have 50 people? Are we going to have 20 people? Are we going to have no people? So it's very hard to know what to do. And so we're going to just open with as much faith as we can muster. And we're going to run with a smaller menu and a smaller staff, just like we did before we had the lockdown, where we had to go, you know, smaller and move our tables and all of that. So it will be very much the same. But yeah, you know, in many ways, this has been a great opportunity to look at what you're doing and see what you can do different. You know, we've been on the hamster wheel for 19, nearly 20 years. And what can often happen is that you can kind of just get caught up with the momentum. And this lockdown has given us a chance to step off and to relook at what we're doing and what we want. What do we really want to do differently? You know, we've got 20 years experience to look back on. Maybe we can make some changes. So the first thing that we've done is we've actually painted the restaurant just to give it a fresh new feel. And we're going to change all the pictures, and we're going to just make it look clean and beautiful and lovely. And I think just from a sort of spiritual perspective, it changes things. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no,
it's like,
I understand exactly. You know, it's like I say, change as good as holiday, and I think that's right. I think in this scenario where people would like, you know, would like just to see. I think there's something to say to go back to things that, you know, that you are used to, but also to have places change and looking progressive. I think that is great.
Yeah. Well, we have to change, you know, menus and things like that. So we just decided that we would go with this really clean, beautiful look. I'm a photographer as well, so I've got 20 years worth of beautiful photos of this estate, which I have to say is truly, you know, a photographer's paradise, because every day is different and every season is just better than the last. So we're going to just give a new feel to an old favorite.
So did the lockdown give you some time to sort your photos that you never got time for?
The 50,000 photos, hell.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of photos. Well, we've done some lovely new things. We've done some wallpapers with, when you do big take a picture and you make it as big as the wall.
Yeah.
So we've done that. That's really beautiful. But
Wow.
yeah, we're going to go with we've got a few photos to look through and make some
amazing.
decisions. Yeah.
So actually, just remembered what I wanted to ask you. You mentioned influencers, and I was wondering, you said you do the marketing for the restaurant and stuff like that. Do you and this I think falls in with what's happening, right? Everybody now are even more on their phones and online than they've ever been before. So do you guys use things like social media and influence and marketing and stuff like that in your business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are on every platform that there is, from Instagram to Pinterest. We have a very big following on Instagram as well as on our Facebook page, and a very what is the word I'm looking for? When you have a lot of back and forth. I can't think of the word.
Engagement.
Anyway, engagement. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. So there's a lot of engagement, and I always say in my kitchen, I'm the only one who's allowed to be on my phone because I'm the one who's actually speaking to our customers out there in the big world. And yeah, we are very, 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 well, let's put it this way. I love social media. I think it's one of the funnest, most quickest way to engage with your clientele.
Well, I think the magic word there is engagement, because most people think social media is you post something and you forget about it, but actually it's not. It's talking to people, answering their comments and actually speaking to them, and it's like the fastest way, like you say, to actually talk to people. You can start today and talk to 100 people if you really want to.
Absolutely.
You just need to
well, I
make
have
the
to
effort.
say, in all our years of having our restaurant, we've never paid for marketing. We've never gone with a big marketing campaign or spent 20,000 Rand on marketing. We've never done that. We've always used what's called guerrilla marketing. I don't know if you know the term.
Yeah.
But I am like the ultimate guerrilla marketer.
So every time if you say the word guerrilla marketing, I think about the guys do it at the rugby stadiums. You're sitting there, next minute there's people jumping up in yellow t-shirts that were supposedly come to watch the rugby, but meanwhile they bought the tickets was paid for by some marketer that wanted to advertise a new cell phone or orange juice or whatever.
Well, I don't know if that's guerrilla marketing as much as harassment.
That's true, right? That's more like jumping onto somebody else's bandwagons, a type of marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I think for me, guerrilla marketing is just about being consistent and showing up all the time. And
well, like you said, engagement with your customers, right?
Yeah.
Actually talking to them, asking them what they want, and then giving that to them in their products. I think that is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And it's such fun, if you post something. Say I posted a picture of a chocolate mousse last week, and the comments, the people just love it. People love food pictures. It always amazes me. They love to look at them as much as they love to eat them.
Instagram is just a wonderful place for food, right? And I think you as a photographer, obviously, it speaks to you as well, and you appreciate the platform for the visual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely
some very talented people.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Anyway, so the most important thing that you've learned from your journey there at the restaurant and in the winelands.
Ooh, that's a big question. I think consistency. I think if I've learned anything about being an adult and working, at a job that's fairly stressful and demanding, but also incredibly fulfilling, is consistency. In order to maintain your level of customers and to make people happy, you have to produce the same standards every single time. And I think that can get a bit tricky because some days are good days and some days are bad days. But for the most part, you've got to get it right 99% of the time. So for me, it's been about consistency, passion and consistency. Yeah.
And that's awesome. So you cheated by giving me your champagne quote right in the beginning. But that's great. So tell us, if people want to get hold of you guys, how did they get hold of you?
Well, obviously we're on social media. We're on Facebook. We have our own page, the Avontuur Estate Restaurant. On Instagram, also Avontuur Estate Restaurant. They're all the same, and Twitter, as well as Pinterest. But right now our phone lines are down, so I'm going to give you an alternative number if anybody wants to phone and reserve for next Wednesday. Can I give it to you?
Yes, please do.
The number is 083 508 1525, or you can email us at openhand@polka.co.za.
I love that open hand one. So we'll put all the links down in the description so people can get that, and I'll make sure the phone number are in there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Zunia, are you doing anything special now that you're opening that you want to tell listeners about, or you know what?
I think the fact that we're opening is special.
That's
we're
true,
just so
right?
happy to be opening, you know. So we're not doing any specials as such. We'll just be running with our menu just slightly smaller, and yeah, we cannot wait to see our friends and our loyal customers again, because we've missed them a lot.
Okay, I'm sure they're going to flood you because I think people want to get out and people want to go to places. So as long as you haven't taken the duck off the menu, I think everything will be fine.
Our takeaway menu as well, and it's the most popular, and it's a winner. You can't say it's delicious.
Yeah, no, I can vouch for that. Zunia, thank you very, very much for spending the time with us. And yeah, I mean, we will put, like I said, we'll put all the links down in the description, and we appreciate, I know you're busy, so thank you for spending the time. Yeah.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed our chat.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, wineries businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to SJ Kruger. SJ is a owner and founder of Late Bloomer Boutique Winery. Hi, SJ. Thank you
Hi,
for visiting us.
thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, SJ, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you get involved in the wine industry?
So basically, where Late Bloomer started is in a garage in Johannesburg. My father actually started making wine in his garage in Johannesburg. I mean, he spent some time on a wine farm, learned how to do it, and yeah, then he used to bring his grapes to Joburg and make it himself. Where I got involved is obviously we started liking his wine, and we thought, hey, he's actually got some talent in making the wine, and me and a few friends own a wedding venue in Pretoria, and we wanted to kind of see if we could make the wine there, but just the cost of getting the grapes and the barrels and equipment there was so expensive that we decided to go to Stellenbosch and do it there. And then people started liking the wine, and yeah, that's where we are now. Growing the winery, growing the brand a little bit.
So, did you guys move down to Stellenbosch?
Yes, my dad stays in Stellenbosch. I'm still in Pretoria. Still have some other things to do here as well, other businesses and a full-time job as well.
Okay, so you're quite busy. So tell me, it's an amazing story, you know. There's not a lot of guys that started making wine in a garage. How did you, was your dad always interested in wine, or where did this interest come from?
Yeah, so he's got a passion for wine. He loves wine. He's always, I mean, I think myself and even my brother and some of my friends, I mean, we got the wine passion and the interest from him. I mean, he's always wanted to do it. I mean, since I can remember, he was always telling us how he's going to learn to make wine. And I think in the ripe age of 52, he decided it was time for him to learn how to make his own wine.
That's awesome. And you yourself, are you a wine lover as well?
Yes, I'm a wine lover. I'm not a wine maker, but I do love wine. I love good wine. I like the story, and I like the skill and the craft that goes into making it.
Okay, so it seems like Late Bloomers is very much a family business. So can you tell us a bit more about Late Bloomers? How many people are involved, and what are the roles of each of you?
So basically, we've got my dad is making the wine mostly on a part-time basis down at Stellenbosch. We also get some assistance from the cellar. We share a cellar with some other wineries. Get a lot of assistance and advice from the guys that have got lots of experience there. And then basically it's me and three friends who invested in the winery and to get it going.
Okay, and are you involved in the business as well, in the marketing or any other aspects of the business?
Yeah, so I basically run the marketing side of it. You've got Esther that you've obviously now dealt with, who sets it up, is our social media guy. And then, yeah, most of the marketing, sales, a lot of the planning stuff. I mean, every year when we sit down to decide what we're going to do is basically me and my dad, and we decide what worked the previous year and what we're going to do this year. So I run most of the business side of it and a little bit of the finance and so on.
How long have you guys been going?
I think the first bottle of wine was made in 2012, and then we decided in 2015 when the opportunity came along for us to expand this maybe and turn it into a business and a dream. I mean, the passion, the dream we wanted to have a winery. So in 2015, I think we sold our first bottles under the Late Bloomer label. In 2016, we started actually selling it.
Oh, excellent. So tell me, your winemaking philosophy at Late Bloomers, how would you describe that?
So we want to make wine for drinking. We used to joke and say, no, awards are for ponies and wine is for drinking. I think that's basically our philosophy, is to say we want people to enjoy the wine. We're not making wine to go and get a bunch of awards, but we want people to drink the wine, have stories, great memories, get families to get together, open wine. I mean, we love nothing more than getting photos from our clients who basically tell us how they're enjoying the wine. So it's great having awards, and I think we want to get to a point where we actually are able to kind of enter some of competitions with our wine, but the goal for us, the main philosophy is to make wine that people can enjoy with their family and friends.
Okay, interesting. So, can you tell us a bit more about the wines that you make, and especially about the one called the Farnese Fusion range? That sounded
Sure.
quite interesting.
Yeah, so basically we currently we're making 5 wines. We're adding another one, but basically we've got a Sauvignon Blanc called Summer. Basically, it's a nice fruity, it's an easy drinking wine, so real summer wine that you can have on your slip on a hot day. I mean, we've got a rosé called Candy Floss. A lot of people think it's sweet, but it's actually not. It's got a nice sweet aroma, but actually it's a dry, light rosé. This year we made it from Pinot Noir grapes. We've got a Syrah. Grapes come from Elgin, so we've made it a nice light, not a heavy full-bodied Shiraz, but a nice light Syrah. We've got Mengsel, which is like a Bordeaux-styled wine, a little bit more full-bodied. It's a blend Merlot, Cab, Petit Verdot. And then the Farnese Fusion, which is our flagship, is basically named after my grandfather, Farnese. I think he instilled a lot of the passion we've got for wine and the craft and the skill that goes into it. And we basically took his 3 favorite cultivars, which is Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Shiraz, and made an equal blend of the 3. We wanted to make something that was really easy to drink, and as easy to drink as it was spending time with him. He was an extremely gentle soul. We wanted that to come through in the wine.
So, did you also make wine in his garage?
No. He just liked drinking it, but no, he did not make wine.
Okay. So, your typical customer that you have, what does that customer look like?
So we've had a mixed bag, if I put it that way. We've had people, young people, older people, all across South Africa. Our wines are a bit lighter though than some of the other farms in South Africa. So we haven't really necessarily made wine for the heavy wine drinkers who like the full-bodied, heavy tannin wine. So it's normally people that like something a little bit lighter and easier to drink, if I put it that way. But yeah, we are releasing a new cab which will probably appeal to the heavy wine drinkers this year.
So, I mean, wine is quite a competitive industry. So, how did your dad start selling his wine? Family and friends, or how did he manage to build a market? It's quite interesting.
Yeah, so when he started making wine, I think he used to tell us a story, a bit of a joke, and he said he thought he could make the wine cheaper because, I mean, he likes drinking wine. So if he could make the wine cheaper and drink it himself, then buying everyone else's wine, I mean, it'd be a win for him. And it turned, and obviously he kept on handing the wine out to his friends. He wasn't selling it, and it kind of built up a following, and people always wanted his wine, and people started saying, but listen, my friends came to me and said, hey, can I buy some of your dad's wine? And that kind of started the thing of saying, but hey, maybe it's something we can do. I mean, it's been a dream for us. It's a pipe dream, so maybe it's something we do. We start making wine to sell, and yeah, here we are.
That's amazing. So, are you selling only in the local market, or are you exporting as well?
At the moment, we're still very small, and I don't think we really produce enough to export, but the goal is to eventually get to a point where we can export our wines and kind of create a bit of a global client base.
So, you're involved in marketing at the moment. So, what is your strategy in terms of marketing? Do you find that avenues like social media and that are growing in importance?
Yes, definitely. I think we've been lucky because we've had our wedding venue, which is extremely popular in Gauteng, and 80% of our guests have been ordering our wine. So we've kind of been getting that exposure there in the area in Gauteng, and we've kind of, through that, we've gotten a lot of return customers. We do a lot of pop-up tastings and events, and we kind of created a bit of a loyal client base that keep on coming back for wine to us. And that's kind of allowed us to not focus too much on social media, but I think with the current circumstances, we've had to up our game on the social media and online platforms. And I can already see the exposure we're getting and a lot more people that are interested and curious about our wine. So, I mean, social media, I think, is going to be play a massive impact in everyone in the wine industry in the next few months or even years.
So your avenues has been basically through your wedding venue and direct to customers that buy directly from you. You're not using any distributors at the moment, right?
No. We like I said, we're still fairly small. I mean, and we kind of build up a client base that we focus on and servicing them and growing that client base. I mean, I think at one stage I probably know 90% of our customers. I mean, every time we sell a bottle of wine to someone, we follow up with a WhatsApp saying, hey, did you actually enjoy it? Give me good feedback, bad feedback. And we've kind of I think the story behind the wine is what got people get people hooked on it.
That's interesting. So your wedding venue at the moment, is that still closed?
Yes, we've closed obviously now with the COVID-19 lockdown.
And no idea when you're going to open yet, right?
No, so there's a coffee shop portion and a pizzas and so on that are been selling on takeaway, and then obviously now with the restaurants open, we'll probably open the coffee shop. It's also on a farm with cycling trails and so on, so it actually allows us to open that up a little bit.
Okay, but you won't be able to sell wine there.
No, we don't sell wine obviously for on consumption, but for off consumption we do. I mean, like I said, a lot of our customers know that we've got the wine, so they do come and order from us.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, we're talking about the lockdown and everything. I mean, the coronavirus has forced everyone to, rethink about their businesses. I mean, you basically just told me you've got a wedding business, which is basically still in lockdown, and then also your wine business. Have you guys made any plans, new ideas to what are you thinking in this time?
Yeah. So in terms, like I said, in terms of our market strategy, we've kind of been communicating directly and building relationships with our customers, and we deliver at their houses. We're lucky that we've got the restaurant here in Pretoria that we can actually use as a kind of distribution point for Gauteng. But yeah, we're focusing mostly online. I mean, we're not a wine farm. We're a winery. We're not open to the public at the winery. Most of our events and tastings have been pop-up tastings and so on. And I think we'll probably keep staying that way. We want to be flexible, nimble. I mean, if the market changes or the circumstances changes, we want to be able to change with it. And I think being online is probably the easiest way for a small winery like ourselves to do that and keep in touch and build and maintain those relationships with our customers and leverage off that.
Do you have an online shop where customers can order directly, or how does ordering work?
Yes, so you can order online from our website, and then we also obviously take a lot of emails, get emails with our customer base and WhatsApps, and then we are busy with one or two other platforms, online platforms, also to start selling it. That's not our website, but it's also online stores.
Okay, that's amazing. Do you have anything special that you're offering at the moment, or specials for customers or anything like that at the moment?
Yes. So at the moment, we're running a special on our summer Sauvignon Blanc. We call it I Really Miss Summer, seeing that it's been really cold in Gauteng for the last few weeks. And if you buy 12 bottles, we give you free delivery and 10% discount. We're also running a competition until the end of the year for everyone that subscribes to our newsletter. We're sharing the stories of the different wines on our newsletter and some stories about the team and so on. And if you subscribe, you can win a mixed box of wine every month until December. So we're doing that, and then at the end of this month, we're releasing our new Fonnie's Fusion blend, which will probably have a nice special on, and then also the new signature cab that's coming out later, which will be quite special. So only 2,500 bottles will be made of that.
Okay, and do you deliver countrywide, or do you have only?
Yes, we deliver countrywide. Obviously, in the big metro areas like Western Cape and Gauteng, we can do free delivery, but we can ship anywhere in the country.
Okay, so you use a courier service. How are you finding logistics at this stage? Because I've been speaking to a lot of, I talked to a lot of wineries, obviously, and lots of them complain about logistical nightmare at the moment of actually getting deliveries done.
Yeah, so it has been tough. I think the couriers are extremely busy because a lot of people are ordering online. So it's been slightly slower than normal, but we've been able to get good service from the couriers that we've used.
Okay. And your long-term vision for late bloomers, where do you see your business going and your brand going?
So I think we set ourselves like a medium-term goal of a number of bottles that we want to get to that we sell every month. So, and we built our kind of sales and everything based on our customer base and how we want to grow that kind of loyal customer base to a certain point and how many boxes of wine we would like them to order a month. But I think eventually we would like to become a global brand and export our wines to different countries. I mean, I have people that have inquired from the US and from Europe and also from countries like Australia. It's just getting to a point where we produce enough and that we can actually make a profit out of it is still the challenge for us to get to.
Yes, I think that is the first hurdle, is getting, making enough wine. So, yeah. I mean, you've had quite an interesting start in the wine business. Like you say, your dad started in his 50s. and you've been involved right from the beginning when you started. So what is the most important thing that you've learned from this journey?
So me and the rest of my business partners, even my dad, I mean, we come from high pressure industries where things need to happen quickly. There's no time to wait for anyone. And I think time is money. But with wine, I mean, there's a lot of waiting and a lot of being patient. And I think that's the one thing that we've had to learn with the winemaking is you need to appreciate time more. I mean, you need to slow down slightly, enjoy the process of making the wine, of tasting it, of seeing it develop and grow. And that's the thing for me. We've learned to appreciate time and the craft and that goes into it.
I think that's right. I mean, I just spoke to a winery this morning, and the guys mentioned the same thing, right? They said patience is the big thing required, because I think people forget that making wine is actually still the agricultural activity. You know, it's like it's almost like a seasonal activity. You've got to wait for the harvest, and then the wine has to ripen. You know, everything has to happen. So that's quite interesting. If you can give me a wine quote, what would that be?
I don't really have a favorite wine quote, but I do love the stories that we get back from our customers. And
well, tell us one. I'd love to hear one of your stories.
Sure. I think one of the biggest things for us is like with the new Fonnies. I sent out the new Fonnies, and it's always great getting the feedback. I mean, one of my good friends just sent me a WhatsApp the other day saying, "Oh, it's such a smooth wine, and it's so nice and easy to drink." And I think that's the one thing for us where we could say, actually, that's exactly what we wanted to achieve is create something that's smooth and easy to drink. I mean, some of the stories of the weddings we've had, I mean, it's been quite a journey, and you'll see that's why our slogan is, there's a story in every bottle. What's yours? And we really want people to tell us, hey, actually, I had this story. My sister came over for the first time in a year, and we actually opened one of your wines, and we had just a good evening, and it was actually such a great created such good memories out of it.
Do you ever ask your customers to record these stories and send them to you?
We ask for short feedbacks on the stories, but yeah, we haven't necessarily asked them to record it, but we have one or two that's actually given us a little bit more detail on it and so on.
I think that could be a good marketing strategy, getting some video where people actually, say something within your brand, especially in today's environment. I think that could work very, very well.
Yeah. We have some videos that we want to record at the end of July that's coming up, but that we'll probably start releasing some of those ones in September, October, so on, some roundabout there.
You mentioned that you've got a new wine coming out. What is that? Is that going to be?
So we have actually got a new Fonnies Fusion coming out at the end of this year, which we actually took 2 years wines and blended together to get the taste we wanted. And then we've got a signature cab that's coming out. It's been on oak for 18 months. It's a little bit more full-bodied that we're bringing out. And then later this year, we're going to bring out a new rosé. Last year we made it all Pinot Noir rosé now into an MCC over the next few years, and we're experimenting with a new blend of taking a Merlot Sauvignon Blanc and making the canny floss into a bit of a. So we've got 3 wines coming out now, probably in the next 2-3 months.
Oh, okay, that's amazing. Jay, how do people get hold of you guys if they want to order wine?
So we are on Facebook. I think it's Late Bloomer Boutique Winery, as well as Instagram, and then our website, which is latebloomerwines.com. And people can email us on social media as well.
So they can DM you if they want something.
Yeah.
So just repeat that offer you have again, that special. I mean, that would be nice for people. It sounded actually quite nice.
Yeah, we've got the I Really Miss Summer special, which is 12 bottles of our Summer Sauvignon Blanc for 10% discount and free delivery.
We all miss summer, right? I can't wait for summer to start this year and maybe get back to normal. Thank you so much for your time. And
thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. Good luck with everything. Good luck getting your wedding business back on track as well. I suppose that's a different challenge. But thank you for speaking to us. And I think our listeners will find this interesting.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.